Okay, so it's different. It's different this year. The Oklahoma Sooners are playing on Black Friday. Black Friday of all times for the Oklahoma Sooners to kick off a football game against TCU. But this is the hand that has been dealt to the Oklahoma Sooners, hey, and the Texas Longhorns, who have to play Texas Tech at 6:30 p.m. Yes, you heard me right. The Big 12, listen, they dealt their cards out to the Oklahoma Sooners and the Texas Longhorns, and we're going to play a football game. So these previews, they're coming out a little early, and you guys are probably making a turkey, making a ham. So I need y'all to jump down in the comments below and let me know what y'all are making for Thanksgiving, because I'm going to be smoking a turkey and a ham probably when you guys are watching this within 2 to 3 hours after that. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. And I'm excited to hear what y'all are doing. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to dive right into it. Oklahoma is playing TCU at home. Oklahoma is 9-2, the number 13 overall team in the country. TCU is 5-6, trying to get bowl eligible. And listen, it hasn't been pretty for the Horned Frogs after going to the national championship the year before and truly just having one of those magical seasons. But you come in here for TCU, and for a little bit of the season, you've had Chandler Morris hurt. Then you have Hoover kind of taken over for you. And so you've kind of been in limbo with your quarterbacks. I don't think on the receiving game, you've 100% had the year you thought you would with necessarily the transfers, but TCU still likes to throw the ball around. And I think that's something that's going to be missed a lot in this game, is just exactly what TCU's offense is able to do. So I was actually looking at the numbers here. TCU has the number 14th overall offense in the country, coming in at 461.8 yards per game, averaging about 6.18. Oklahoma's coming in at number 7 in the country at 492.9 with 6.64 yard average. Now, I looked and said, well, what do these teams do best? Obviously, I just said it. Oklahoma, TCU, they like to throw the ball. Oklahoma coming in at number 7, averaging 314.7 pass yards a game. And then the TCU Horned Frogs in the top 10, number 9 at 309.3 passing yards a game. So if you're the Oklahoma Sooners, when you look at what they need to do on the defensive side of the ball, obviously you want to be stout on the line of scrimmage, because TCU's running game, listen, I think it's towards the bottom of the Big 12. I think it was like 9 or 10. So after your showing last week against BYU, I think you really want to show everybody the reason why BYU was able to do what they did to you in the run game was because of the elements, right? Because of the field, because of the weather, right? I think that's what you want to be able to hone in on. You want to prove to everybody last week is not what this team is about. You come in here, you plant your foot down, and you go out there and you make those stops that we've seen Oklahoma make in the run game, like what we've seen them do all year, right? If this rushing defense is able to do that, then I think a lot of Oklahoma fans are going to come out of here and feel better. And a lot of that's going to come down to, are the linebackers going to play better this week? You know, Danny Stutzman last week, we heard, hey, he had, it was the flu or it was food poisoning, whatever it was. The man had to be shot up with IVs on the sideline just to be able to make it through this game. And you could tell the linebackers just weren't 100% there. And you expect that even though it's on a short week, they're going to be back to a little bit more at 100% health, and they're going to be ready to go in this game. It's senior night. They don't want to go out to losing to the team that pretty much put them on a downward spiral towards the beginning of last year's season. So I look at this game and say, your defensive line, you got to be able to stop the run game. Secondly, I don't know what they're going to roll out there with, whether it's a zone pass defense or whether they're going to play man-to-man. But if you're the Sooners, you have to, if you are going to play zone coverage, you've got to play your best zone you've played all season. Because TCU, they're going to sling the ball around, and they have receivers that can kill you. Savion Williams, J.P. Richardson, Jared Wiley, Jalen Robinson, Warren Thompson. These are all guys that are going to be able to go out there, and they're going to be able to get yards after catch, And they're going to be able to be guys that can beat you on the deep ball. Jared Wiley, the tight end, for those of you who don't actually know who Jared Wiley is the 6'7", 260-pound senior for the TCU Horned Frogs. Yeah, you heard me right. 6'7". His longest catch of the season is 81. J.P. Richardson, their number 2 overall wide receiver, 59 is his longest. Savion Williams, 42. So you catch my drift, right? They're going to try to get you on the deep ball as well. So you look at the Oklahoma Sooners, if you're going to play zone, obviously you expect to have Gentry Williams back. Not sure what the status is on Vickers, but I would imagine he's going to be there. You got Bowman, Spears Jennings. You want these guys to step up and play one of their best games of the season and be absolute lockdown against the TCU Horned Frogs wide receivers. I don't think you're going to be able to hold them under probably 350. But if you keep them somewhere in the realm of 300, 350, I think you feel really, really good about how the secondary played that day, especially if, Chandler Morris or Josh Hoover, whoever's going to play quarterback for the day, goes out there and has to throw 40-plus passes to be able to get to that number. I think you're going to feel really good about how the secondary played. So I look at it for Oklahoma and I say, okay, well, this third key, I think, really comes down to which quarterback do you play. Do you play Chandler Morris, who is a little bit more of a mobile quarterback? I'm going to say a lot more of a mobile quarterback than Josh Hoover. Or is Josh Hoover going to play, and are you going to be able to go in there and just provide that how do I word it? How do I say it, guys? I'm sorry. It's like 11:30 at night. My power just came back on, so my mind's kind of running here. But are you going to be able to apply that pressure to Josh Hoover in the pocket, right? With Chandler Morris, he's going to try to get out of the pocket anyways and do things with his feet to create plays with his wide receivers. So if you're Oklahoma, you got to do what you've done all season with those types of quarterbacks, which is you've got to be able to contain, right? When they come out of the pocket, you've got to be able to contain them and keep them either in a tackle for loss or make sure they're not only getting 1 or 2 yards, but they're not beating you on the ground in a heavy way like you have in years past. So for the defense, it's pretty simple, right? The same game plan that we've looked at all year long, some of the same key points. Now, when we look at Oklahoma on the offensive side of the ball, if you're going to go in here and you're going to light TCU up and you're going to beat them, your offensive line has got to play the way that it did against West Virginia. And I get it. Tyler Guyton might or might not play in this game. Still looks like maybe he's recovering from that concussion. But if this offensive line is able to protect, whether it's Dillon Gabriel or Jackson Arnold, and then be able to open up the holes like they have been for the running backs, you would expect that this team probably could go out there and get an easy 60 and probably a 500 to 600 yard game. Now, as for the quarterbacks, I have heard that Dillon Gabriel is going to be sitting in the game and Jackson Arnold will start. However, listen, I'm going to take that with a grain of salt because I don't think these people really know exactly who's starting and who's not, especially at the quarterback position, because I look at it and go, it's great to have all the sources you want, but I totally see Brenton Venables and Jeff Lebby rolling Dillon Gabriel out to the field. I mean, I think a lot of you guys remember this. I mean, I was sitting on my couch last year watching Brent Venables and Jeff Lebby roll Dillon Gabriel out on the field, throwing passes, going through drills, in the Texas game, yet he didn't play a game. He did not play a snap. And I could see the same thing happening here. So although I think the feeling is, hey, it was an upper body injury, it looked like a concussion, I think the feeling is, yeah, he's not going to play. I think that's the popular opinion. Jackson Arnold will get his first start. But there's a part of me that goes, it's senior night. If there's even an inkling chance that Dillon Gabriel is going to be able to go, do they let him go at least for a drive to be able to let him get that start on senior night, to get that long-lived fulfillment of a football player, to be able to play significant snaps on senior night, last game of the season, the game that gets you to 10 wins. Remember, this was a 6-7 team last year. So to go to 10 wins potentially have a Big 12 championship berth and be able to play, whether it's in a New Year's Six Bowl or to be able to play in the Alamo Bowl. That's an extreme turnaround. And if you're an Oklahoma Sooner fan, you have to be happy with it. Although you kind of look at it and go, hey, we could have 11 wins because you take care of what you need to against Kansas, because Kansas was the game where you just didn't play well enough to win the game. The refs didn't really work against you. You just didn't play well enough, right? You had too many things going against you when it comes to weather elements, not showing up. But Oklahoma State, a little bit different in the story. So you could at least have 11 wins right now. And as an Oklahoma fan, that might seem disappointing. But I think we need to forget that this is, I think we forget that this is only BV's second year in the system. This is only his second year at being a head coach. So can we give BV the benefit of the doubt that a 10-win regular season is good for Oklahoma? Maybe next year going into the SEC, you only drop 2 games, and in an expanded playoffs, you're in there. And you're able to go in there and cause chaos. You might not have a top 4 seed, but you can go in there and you can cause chaos. You might have a first-round bye, or not a first-round bye, a first-round game at home. So I look at this game for Oklahoma and TCU. And I was looking at ESPN, as I always do, and I was looking at where's the money line and what does the ESPN matchup predictor say? Because the ESPN matchup predictor in Vegas, they love Oklahoma. They haven't been able to figure them out yet. Matchup predictor has Oklahoma winning 84.4 to TCU's 15.6% chance. The over-under on this game is 63.5. Oklahoma's favored by 10 points. Again, you look at this and go, I don't think Vegas really has Oklahoma figured out, because TCU, it seems like this is a team that could keep this game within 1 score. Not 2 scores, 1 score. If you look at the last 5 for Oklahoma and TCU, Oklahoma is 3-2. TCU is 2-3. Basically just flip the record around. It's going to be 40 degrees at kickoff, but it's going to probably be a beautiful day outside. So you would imagine that although this is the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, your typical OU fan, they're probably not Black Friday shopping. So they're going to be at the game. The question is, what is the atmosphere going to be like? And what is the tailgating scene going to be like? Now, I was looking at the line at 63.5, and of course, I have to take the over. And I think for the first time this year, I'm going to take a team to probably put up 27 or more on Oklahoma. Yep, got that right. I've got Oklahoma winning this game 52-27. I don't think you're going to see what you saw against West Virginia, but I do think, because I think TCU's got a little bit better of an offense in terms of what they're able to do in the air and on the ground. But I do think Oklahoma is going to be able to get the necessary stops. And I think even though you've heard the noise around Jeff Lebby potentially taking that interview at Mississippi State, potentially maybe going away from the program this year, I think you're going to see Jeff Lebby come out here and call a good, solid game. And whether Jackson Arnold or Dillon Gabriel is at the helm, either one of those quarterbacks is going to be put in a position to go out there and succeed. And listen, if Jackson Arnold goes out there and has himself a phenomenal day, you're going to have Oklahoma fans saying, hey, I don't think Dillon Gabriel should start anymore the rest of the season. Now, I think some of you guys are going to have questions on the recruiting trail and how this game is going to come into impact that, right? Because with it being the day after Thanksgiving, you would imagine that you're not going to have a lot of recruits on campus. And that's kind of the sense I'm getting, right? So, I've went around and I've messaged a couple of the guys that we talk to normally, guys that maybe said, hey, we're going to try to make it out for the TCU game, to kind of see, okay, what's the sense? What's the feeling? And I was talking to Trynae Washington, right? And he says, hey, it just depends on the plans and the weather, right? You've got Thanksgiving the day before, you might have family in town. It might not be happening. Gus Cordavo, it was supposed to make it on campus. There's a good chance he doesn't make it because of his game on a Friday night, and if they get knocked out. And then Daniel Okoye not going to be able to make it, but you are going to get your 5-star defensive lineman and David Stone on campus. You're going to have Mykel, Patterson, McDonald on campus. The question is, are they going to be able to sway Jordan Seaton? Although Jordan Seaton did not have Oklahoma in his final top school list, are they going to be able to swing Jordan Seaton to come up here and take a visit anyways? It's going to be a last minute thing. It's going to be something that I don't think is talked about a whole lot. But listen, there's only one Oklahoma. And when it comes to the recruiting trail, they're going to have plenty of targets there. And listen, it's a holiday weekend. It's hard to get a solid list. Now, I'm not going to be at the game this weekend to be able to identify who is in the stands and who is not. But I'll have some people doing some work for me while they're at the stadium. So hopefully on Monday, we'll be able to provide you more of a list of who is on campus visiting this weekend and who is there. And of course, I'll follow up with some players as there as well. Oklahoma, Grant Bricks. This one sucks. But guys, it's time to move on. It's time to look forward at what else Oklahoma could be doing on the offensive line. And quite frankly, I think you're looking at the transfer portal, because the transfer portal, it's going to be coming in hot on December 20th. And listen, I know you all have heard the rumblings around Evan Stewart. I've even had a couple of you guys actually hit me up asking me about Oklahoma's odds there and how I felt about it. And going to be quite honest with you guys, I don't like Evan Stewart to Oklahoma. I like the fit to Alabama, where I think Alabama has more of a need. They're not as deep. Evan Stewart's more of a plug and play there, as Evan Stewart's extremely talented. And if he came to Oklahoma, he's going to see the field. You're taking snaps away from somebody, right? And I think if you're Oklahoma, the wide receiver is not a position that you're necessarily going to have to focus on 100%. The transfer portal, you're looking at more of the defensive line and saying, hey, does a Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy or does a David Hicks hit the transfer portal from A&M? Those are the guys that I think you really, really want from Texas A&M. But guys, I want to hear from you, and I want to hear what y'all's thoughts are around the Oklahoma TCU game, what you guys think is going to happen. So make sure you're dropping your score predictions down in the comments below. Additionally, if you guys haven't already, you guys need to hit that like and subscribe button. You guys need to follow one of these links as well and watch some of those recruiting updates, because I want you guys to have that intel. If you haven't already, hit that like and hit that subscribe.